Hey guys, welcome to week 3. So, when you're designing, you have to keep in mind a lot of things concerning meaning. And that's what this lecture is all about. When I say meaning, I mean that every mark on the page, every mark on the site, every way you present your typography, every image you present means something. And that meaning can quite often be a lot deeper than what your intentions are. Conversely, you can use that meaning in very powerful ways to bolster, to back up your message, or to add a little propaganda to your message. Propaganda meaning the traditional word of propaganda, not what we are familiar with, the war machine use of propaganda. At any rate, so let's look at this and let's say, I just think this is such a really important image and such a really important consideration because, first of all, a lot of us in the class, I was reading through the lecture here and I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of in the class that don't remember this. So let's go over this and decide and explain what's going on. Okay, those of you who remember this, it was pretty innocuous to us as we were children. The danger is in this image is that it uses racial images to try to sell a product. And how does it do that? Okay, this image of this southern black woman with the do-rag, as we call today, over her neck, the plaid, big plaid skirt and a plaid do-rag, again, at the top of her, on the top of her head, the very, 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 very dark skin, the very red lips and white eyes, all signify slavery. Why? Because these are typical images of what we as Americans have learned about slavery. Okay, back then when this was designed in the 70s, it was 50 years less far removed from slavery. So a lot of people looked at this and said, you can't do that. While a lot of younger folks look at this, and a lot of younger folks in the class right now are looking at this and saying, well, all they're doing is trying to say that this old black woman makes awesome pancakes. And I agree, it is saying that. However, there's a lot of signifiers here that are very, very, very deeply, deeply racist in nature. And that is mainly setting her up as a Southern plantation slave in the way she looks and in the way she dresses. Those of us that grew up in the North, we don't know what it was like to have a pancake breakfast made by somebody who worked at the house. I mean, most of us don't. Most white folks that are born after, I don't know, the early 1900s have no idea what Southern cooking tastes like. Okay, so again, we've got these crossed lines, these crossed meanings, where we're going, okay, what? Now, okay, so the reaction is what? Yes, this is racist. You can't do this. Okay, so what do? They change it. What does this look like now? Now this looks like maybe, I don't know, your buddy's aunt. I mean, is it your buddy's aunt? Who it's still a elderly black woman, and now maybe not quite so racially, dressed in such a overtly, but nonetheless, still very racist. This would be derogatory if this were a white woman's picture on here in a contemporary 1950s fashion. Not, that wouldn't work. The syntax is wrong. Okay, what I just described, that whole meaning, that whole consideration of the marks, I mean, even right down to the type, delicious. I'm going to leave that alone, but I think that delicious has very, very racist overtones as well. Okay, so the semiotics there, I think, are self-explanatory. Those of you who are thinking that the advertisers maybe didn't know they were just trying to depict this like delicious Southern breakfast, wrong. They know exactly what they're doing. And this is the study of semiotics. And those of you who have background in advertising know that semiotics and advertising go hand in hand. The study of use of sign and symbols is called semiotics. This right here, I want you to take a look at this video. And the very first thing I want you to do, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I just want to show you the video.
Breaking through marketing clutter to get noticed is hit and miss.
Stop right there. Why is this guy in the background he is? Why is he in a wine cellar? Why is he at this weird table? Okay, these are some of the whys. These are things that we're looking at going, okay, that's not going to make sense till it's explained. And if it's never explained, it'll never make sense. Okay? Watch the video. Very, very, very interesting. The video has to do, there's a little scene in the video. It's a very simple little scene, and it's pouring a fine champagne into a beer mug. And he doesn't just pour a little, he pours a lot, to the point where you're going, even if you don't drink like I don't, you're still going, you got to stop. You can't do that, because what we know about a beer glass and what we know about fine champagne. Okay, watch it. Very interesting. These are interesting too. This has to do with the origin of illiteracy and the fact that marks, some folks, well, actually, folks, anyone entering some sort of a equitable relationship with another individual, if both individuals happened to be illiterate, the agreement was probably verbal. And as we all know, verbal agreements are not very well binding in a confrontation. So what do? We develop a system whereby folks can sign off on something without actually being literate, and that's called a mark. So whatever your X is a mark. Okay, and X turned into where now you make your mark where the X is. So your mark goes next to the X, okay? So folks started to develop these monograms for themselves so that they could maybe even make a stamp to mark their purchases or their binding agreements, as it were, okay? The word mark also allowed people to identify their personal belongings. A great example here is the brand you see on cattle, where their mark is their brand, and their brand, their mark is branded into the cattle, and yes, that's where we get that'll leave a mark. That's gonna leave a mark. Okay, so really, really important consideration right here that starts right here. We see a lot of old, for those of you who are kind of thinking a little bit ahead, yes, we go from this mark to meaning behind the mark, to meaning behind marks in general, to how can we develop our mark with meaning behind it, and our mark, of course, is going to be a logo. And that's how you consider logo development, whether you're working for yourself as a designer, designing a logo for yourself, or whether you're working for a client, designing a logo for your client. Some considerations are this logo right here, as gorgeous as it is, probably would not be considered by today's standards to be a particularly effective logo. Let's take a look at the original John Deere logo. The original John Deere logo by today's standards is not, I want to use this word, okay? Pragmatic. It's not pragmatic, okay? Why is it not pragmatic? Because it doesn't fit into today's life. You put this mark on the side of a truck, you put the truck going by an individual at 60 miles an hour, and they're not going to be able to make this logo out. They're going to see the words, but they're not going to make it out. So why don't we redesign our logo pragmatically so it is effective in as many different situations as possible, including readability, legibility, visibility, able to be seen at angles, able to be seen with different light shining on it, able to be seen with no light shining on it, able to be seen and legible driving by at 60 miles an hour, able to be seen and legible at a stationary position, okay? So why is this coming to play now? Why is John Deere, why are folks changing their logos that have been, well, I shouldn't say now, it's been going on for a while. And the reason of that obviously is the reason that is success in the terms of transportation, success in terms of speed of transportation, and success in the terms of modern technology, whereby you will be shown a logo in several different formats. So what do? We redesign the logo so that it is accommodating. It is what? It's pragmatic in today's world. And it is, as you can see. Okay, I put this on the side of the truck. I don't care if the truck's going 120. You're going to know exactly what it is. Okay, so you don't have all of this little side clutter here. Nothing to confuse what? The sign. Okay, same thing with Nike. Okay, MTV here now, as you're seeing, you're going to look at these going, wow, these are really complex logos. But these were on a screen, okay, they were all motion graphics. And MTV changed their logo, I don't know, 5-6 times a day. And it all remained the same. It just was, if you have a chance, go take a look at a Google video about the MTV logo and just how earth-shattering it was at the time in terms of being able to keep up with popular culture and being able to express popular culture in a relevant way through the logo in a consistent and relevant way. Okay, very interesting stuff. Okay, this right here, this last TED Talk, watch it, guys. If you're not watching TED Talks, wow, you should be. TED Talks are amazing, but this one is just more fun. Fun with some signs and symbols and stuff. So go ahead and take a look at that. But all right, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to get with me. I've got some wonderful resources. I actually did a good portion of my my thesis on semiotics and the meaning behind contemporary advertising. So any questions, please get with me. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you in discussion board. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, I want to talk about the money, the cash. Everyone's doing great. I'm sorry, the cash. I want to talk about the Olympics. I'm mixing a class up. I want to talk about the Olympics. Everyone's doing really good. I think everyone has, after last week's, after I read back or went back through and made the videos for your first week submission, not the videos, the comments for your first week submission. I think a lot of you understand the amount of research that's required for the project in terms of making it make sense in terms of presenting meaning in a pragmatic way. Okay. So, all right, everybody's doing great. Awesome stuff, guys. Get with me if you need, and I'll see you in discussion board. All right, thanks.